Financials 5 and 5. It's January 8th, 2021. It's the first week of 2021. And guess what? It feels just like 2020. It's amazing. I thought the calendar would change and everything else would. I'm Colby McFadden. I'm with Justin Singletary. Justin, how are you? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too, and I'm doing great.
Well, good. So everybody, this is something new that we're going to do. We're going to cover 5 financial topics and news topics, 5 topics that we feel could be affecting your money. So there's a lot to get into. So let's start off with just some real quick disclosures, because when we do these events and do these kinds of shows, what we're trying to do is just show you that we have some acumen of what's going on in marketplaces and that we can possibly help you with your money and your investments. But please, do not take anything that we're doing and do anything silly with it without talking to your own financial advisor, or at least having a conversation with Justin and I, so we can make sure that the risk reward profile matches properly for the kind of a person that you are and kind of investor that you may be. So with that being said, Justin, it's been a really busy week. Let's jump into the 5 and 5 for January 8th of 2021. What do you got for us to start off?
Oh man, this is going to be really good. We've got the first one coming up here is riots at the Capitol, something that hasn't happened only but once in our life.
Yeah, the only thing that could trump the coronavirus news is riots at the Capitol. And as appalling as it is and disappointing to see that happen, I will say that in my life, I do find times that sometimes conflict can bring us closer. And I know that sounds a little Pollyannish, but what I'm hoping is that such an extreme situation like that may prompt some of our leaders to work together. And maybe, just maybe, with this new change within the administration, we'll start to see some of that happen. I know I'm asking for a lot, but let's just hope a little conflict brings us closer together. Other than that, Justin, you got something else for me?
Yeah, so moving right along, number 2, the belated blue wave. Something we talked about quite a bit towards the end of last year.
Yeah, everybody's been waiting since November to find out what's going to happen with the Senate. And guess what, folks? Georgia went blue. So now the Senate is mixed 50-50 with Kamala Harris, the tiebreaker. So for all intents and purposes, the Senate is the Democrats, the White House is the Democrats, the House is the Democrats. So we have the belated blue wave. We're going to discuss this in a lot of detail in our next event next week, January 15th, Sector Minded 2021. We're going to talk about the sectors that we feel are going to get a tailwind from this administration. That's the exciting part about the blue wave. We can be all kinds of concerned and think this or that, but guess what? The one thing is, at least now we have very clarity about what sectors of the market are going to get some help and what sectors of the market are going to have headwinds. So we'll talk a lot about that next week.
Yeah, some of those sectors are already moving as it sits today. Pretty crazy.
Yeah, we got a good list for you next week, that's for sure.
Well, keeping it moving right along here, we're going to talk about rates spike higher. What's going on there?
Oh my gosh, yeah. So that's one of those things that came out of the blue wave. The expectation is now with the Democrats running things, there's going to be more stimulus, more infrastructure, all kinds of things that should cause inflation. I don't know if I buy it, but guess what? Tune in next week, tune into our market cycle shows in the future. We'll talk a lot about interest rates. I'll tell you right now, they're taking a little spike above where the resistance levels are. However, I wouldn't be too shocked to see them reverse at some point in the near future. So, nothing goes in one direction, but this is a sign that we need to be very careful as investors with our bond portfolios, because if this becomes a trend, people are going to need to make some adjustments, but let's give it some time first.
All right. Now we're moving right along to the next one. Another important thing kind of goes and ties with the spike in interest rates. So the dollar and gold, it's kind of muted.
Yeah, you would think that with the aspect of higher taxes and more regulations, that you would get a change in dollar prices. You would think that at least in the charts of the dollar, you'd start to see some weakness, and that would cause a lot of strength in the charts of gold. And you know what? We just really haven't been seeing that recently. Since the blue wave has been announced, you can see on the left, the chart of the dollar hasn't really moved all that much. And up until yesterday, gold really wasn't making much of a move. I would have expected something different. And in fact, today, Friday, January 8th, gold had a pretty bad day, which was surprising to me today, surprising as well. So we'll talk about that in 2 weeks.
Shocking too. I mean, it was a pretty big move today.
Yeah.
So yeah, going on to the final one, and the one that gets all the glory, and I think everybody's probably curious most about: stock markets at all-time highs. Is it
Yeah,
sustainable?
if it were the Brady Bunch, Marsha, stocks get all the attention. We're at all-time highs, and when you look at a chart of it and really see where we're at, it's it's really stretched. Now, I do think we're in one of these parabolic kind of melt up moves, so I think there's a little more upside there, but I'd be very, very, very careful. I don't think I'd be deploying a lot of new capital unless I was really quick and nimble. So if you're an investor, I think there's going to be some great opportunities later in the year to be able to adjust a portfolio in the realm of the sectors under this new administration. But right now, I just be a little more cautious around stocks because we've been going at a clip for a good amount of time. It's got to take a breather at some point. And I do think it's going to get the animal spirits going in the next couple of weeks as we melt up a little bit more. At least it looks and feels that way, Justin.
Yeah, kind of proceed with caution, like you said.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that kind of wraps it up. Those are the 5 things we wanted to kind of really touch on here.
Capital riots, the belated blue wave, spike in interest rates. We'll see if that kind of comes back a little bit. We're now starting to see a move in gold, which is surprising, and the dollar's been pretty muted. And then we still got stocks at all-time highs, and I do think that continues in the short term. But for longer-term investors, I think we want to be a little bit cautious. So with all this going on, Justin, I really do think there's 2 things that people have in their mind, which is, hey, how do I take advantage of some of the opportunities that might be out there? And on the other flip side, there could be, hey, how do I protect myself under this new administration? So if any of those questions are going on in your life, or you're looking at your investment portfolio with some quandaries, reach out to us or visit us at quiverfinancial.com and sign up for Fun with Finance. That way, this kind of stuff will go directly to your inbox. So until next week, have a great weekend, folks.